Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, I want to talk about the magic manifesting probability principle. Well, this is the science or the occult science of how everything works, and this has been verified by goofball common science who thinks they've discovered something from the ancients. But the quantum physics probability is about the fact that on the energetic informational level of matter, nothing is decided. Well, that's right. And that's what we talked about. These energetic informational fields, otherwise known as occultons, are kind of in a neutral state until psions interact with them. Now, psions are directive informational energetic fields, meaning the occulton sense or is communicated with through a tachyon energy field exactly what is needed in that area. Now, when it comes to someone who is trying to manifest in life, well, you're sending your particular desire to make something happen, to physically change something. And as we understand, physical means informational energetic fields. They are physical. A rock is physical, so is an emotion. It's physical. It's energetic. It's measurable. It's physical. It's not something coming out of your ears or your bottom. These are real. Now, it's amazing how science keeps verifying everything that the manifesting sciences, the occult sciences, have known for thousands of years. Now, there is this. So nothing is either one way or another. It can switch at any time. This is what is happening with the energetic informational fields out there. So they're kind of in a flux. Well, they're not really anything until your psions interact with them, meaning you say, bring money to me, influence this person, close this deal, be successful in this area, pass this test. Now you're sending energies into the occultons, the informational energetic fields of manifestation, who then manifest that. Now, this is agreed upon by scientists and the common bozos out there that this is how this whole quantum probability things. Well, what's the probability? And these things are in flux all the time. So if there isn't a directed energetic psion field that is sent to the manifesting field, anything can happen. But if you want to manifest for yourself, you send this command. So to make it more simple to understand it, you're sending your thought form, your psychic projection, your actual inner magical being energy. And these are all the things that make everything work in life. Now, we do this all the time on a non-conscious level, but when you're performing any kind of manifesting, whether you're using a radionic machine, candles, any kind of magical practices, which are just all manifestation technologies, you are programming the occultons to form energetic informational fields of your desire, instead of them just being based on what the fates will give you, what is going to manifest without any of your input. You are directing them, and that's how all magic, radionics, and everything works. Now, there are ways to amplify these things, make them stronger so that your psions, when interacting with the occultons, are at higher, stronger levels so that you make sure that things are very powerfully made into your conception. That's why it's so important when you're sending out psions that they're very complete. If you say, I want money, well, what does that mean? There's nothing there for the occultons to manifest specifically. So you find a quarter on the street. Well, it worked, didn't it? And this is one of the things that's a problem. This is the same thing when you're doing any kind of, you're trying to draw a person to you for a relationship. Well, you have to detail it. And if you detail something, oh, I want this look, that look. Well, if you go on the base levels of only physicalities, well, you're probably going to get a person you don't get along with too well. So you got to make sure you include in the physicalities, whatever you're attracted to, other areas as well. So their personalities, the way they act, who they are, etc. So that's why putting out scions and having clear intentions is so important in the manifesting process. But that's how it works, and this is how all manifestation has worked, and no matter what you're trying to influence. If, let's say, you want to use a spirit, well, the spirit really is just being brought into your scions, which is then being projected into the occultons to manifest with their assistance and their more or better or larger or more powerful energetic fields. So you're combining your scions and bringing into your scion projections this additional energy. Now this sounds complicated, but it really isn't, and I'll be laying out these things in many courses to come, which hopefully will come sooner than later, as we're going to do these things all on Scalar Energy CDs, which will empower you instead of print books, which are too difficult to get into production quickly. So we need to understand that's how things work. So if you understand the science of the occult sciences, of manifestation science, things are very clear, and they're not spooky, weird, strange, or anything else. Because basically, well, I have no use for science, common science, or anything else, really, because they haven't really done anything. And again, I always have to say that's not engineering. Obviously, building bridges and buildings we've figured out kinda, and things kinda work. So the whole idea is that that's not the case. We're talking about how scientists want to tell you, theoretical scientists want to tell you how they know everything and how they have control of everything. You just got to figure out a few things. Yeah, like where you're at. So I would look at your driver's license sign and yeah, that's your name and that's your face. Got it? So the point is that all of these things that is very important to understand how these work. So this isn't some nebulous mumbo-jumbo nonsense, and there are many types of informational fields. These, quote, God energies, spirit energies, and so many other ones that are brought into your scion projection that goes to the occultons to manifest things. So everything is always in flux, and that's the main thing. The main thing is a decision has to be made, meaning that's what influence is all about. So the whole idea is things are all kind of in flux. Things are not solidly in one direction because everything's in flux. Everything can go one way, the other way, up, down, right, left. And when you allow things to go on their own, things can act very weird and not go in your direction and not influence what's happening. When you direct it, you're starting to do that. Now, the key here is how do we get this to work perfectly with our projections? Like everything else, it's complicated. How do we get more energy to make sure the occultons are affected perfectly? And how do we get these occultons to actually react in what are considered biological entities, meaning humans who are filled with poo? They're all confused. They don't know what's going on. So even if you send in an informational energetic field to command them or motivate them to do something, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to act upon it. Yes, the biological entity receives the information, but what's fascinating about it is that, yes, and a certain percentage of this will be worked on, and if you continue to send these, but it has to go through filters of the biological entity. So while the occultons are going in there and saying, well, this is good for you, there's a fighting energy to it. And this is where things get complicated and why things don't manifest 100%, because it's a complicated energetic environment we live in. You are being influenced by many things. And even if an energy comes in and wants to tell you to do something and is a strong force, well, does that force make you do something? Because there are other factors trying to make. So there are other occulton fields which have entered you that are telling you different things. So this is where things get complicated. But this is the basis that everybody agrees on. In the quantum world, nothing is decided upon until it actually happens. That's why they're saying that even in quantum physics experiments, some of them state that when you observe an experiment, it changes. because you are sending psions in there to affect it. And this has seemed to have been proven time and time again. And what is that effect? Well, that's your effect projecting energy. You could call that psychic power, which is affecting the energetic informational fields that will create physical fields. And some of these are physical fields. They did this with photons. Now, photons are physical in terms of their nature. So it doesn't matter whether they're energetic. They are something that can be measured. And how would you do an experiment unless you can measure it? So that falls, as far as I'm concerned, into the physical. So they've showed that people looking at experiments, getting involved with it, are having these influences, which is frightening and empowering. So this is the problem with why everything doesn't work all the time. It has to go into areas and make effects. It has to work with the biological entities. And of course, there has to be some sort of ultimate opening. Now, anytime you project energy at a person in some sort of magical radionic ritual, they are feeling it. It is going to them, and it's going to them instantly. And, of course, what do you say that? Well, why aren't they acting upon it? Well, that is the biggest question. Now, we know it's going in there, but do you act upon everything that goes into your brain? So it really has to push you. It really has to continue to kick you in the bottom to move you along to a particular influence goal, because you're going to have things against you. So if you're trying to motivate something, a person who is controlled by an environment, mommy, daddy, society tells me not to do this, or you're controlled by someone else, well, this is how things start to fall apart. So this is where your success rate starts to come down depending upon your target. Now, the whole idea is to use enough informational energetic fields at a powerful enough level that it breaks through all your blockages, or the blockages of the target, I should say. So that's how it all works. It's that simple, it's that complicated, but that's how it works. It goes there. Does the biological entity target actually change because of all the complications? Well, often it does. And it depends on what it is and what the situation, because things are very complicated in life because it's not. So it's not like getting a physical substance, as I've recently been talking. Well, you go to lead. You tell lead, which don't have emotions, it's not a biological entity, it's an energetic form like everything, and you tell lead, you convert into gold. Now, there is a certain conflict there. This is obviously not easy. This is an example. But there isn't an emotions based in this. There isn't all the crap in the head of the biological entity. There is a structural form that you have to break through, which is strong, because the lead is telling itself, I am lead. And you have to generate enough energy to overcome that by having a strong energetic informational field that tells the lead, well, you're really gold. And this way it would then change, just to do that. But obviously, in some ways, that's easier because you have less conflicts. But there is a strong physical base that says, I'm this, not that. Now, you're trying to tell it that it's something else. And the physical form generally follows the energetic. So whatever the energetic tells it to do, the physical form will ultimately follow. The question is, how do we do that on deeper levels? And there's all sorts of research and interesting things going on in these areas. And it certainly looks to be a very valid way. We have to start moving away from Newtonian physical, and we have to start dealing with quantum physics energetic. It's all about energy. Energy creates everything. The consciousness creates the physical brain, and so forth. So this is how it all works. And that's how you have to think. Now, scientists, the guys who can't cure dandruff, think in the materialistic philosophy. They're wrong. We're going nowhere, and we'll never get anywhere as long as they keep thinking that way. Until next time.